U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, has been on the move every day across Minnesota, making twice as many arrests under President Trump than the previous administration. Alpha News was given a rare opportunity to ride along with ICE officers from the St. Paul Field Office, which covers Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska. Take a look behind the scenes and see for yourself, and see how some policies and politics are making a demanding job even more dangerous.
All right, guys, let's get this started because I have a guy already has eyes on and lights are on in the house.
The operation begins before daylight.
This is the vehicle he's going to be driving. Parks it in a one-stall garage.
With multiple agencies assisting ICE. As many as 10 teams are out working today statewide.
It's been kind of a whole of government approach in trying to kind of tackle some of the immigration issues that we're having here in the U.S. Unfortunately, we have no shortages of targets of illegal aliens with criminal convictions. We'll go where we find somebody that needs arresting.
Sam Olson serves as the field office director for ICE in St. Paul.
Our mission is to increase public safety. That's the goal, and I know that it seems like immigration can be this topic where there's, very, very polarizing. I think sometimes we're too easy of a boogeyman on this, but that's what we're here to do. We're law enforcement officers here to get the worst of the worst off of the streets and back to their country.
Is this a shift, would you say, from the previous administration?
It is a definite shift from the previous administration. We're enforcing the law as it's written on there, and I think that again, it seems to be kind of a source of contention for some folks that we're essentially doing something that might be outside of the realm of the law, but we're not. I mean, these are the laws that were enacted by Congress, and with ICE being an executive branch agency, we're mandated to enforce the laws enacted by Congress, and that's what we're doing now. Some people think that our officers just get dropped in from DC in the middle of the night and come on the streets and then leave at the end of the day, but everybody who's working for us is from here. Most of the people are born and raised in the metro, born and raised out state. So they're here, they live in these communities. So they have a pretty good reason for wanting to increase public safety.
Our first stop is an address in Plymouth. It's the home of a convicted sex offender and former director at the Minnesota Department of Education, who Alpha News exposed in June, sparking an online firestorm over the state's hiring practices. Wilson Tindy, a Kenyan national, was convicted of sexually assaulting a sleeping woman in the Twin Cities after breaking into her home. Tindy pled guilty to the crime 9 years ago. A judge ordered his removal from the United States. But a federal judge ultimately ruled that Tindy's removal was not warranted. Tindy spent 18 months in ICE custody and then landed taxpayer-funded positions at 2 separate Minnesota state agencies. After our reports, Tindy's status has changed.
We really have to go through, work with our legal team to make sure that the conviction would qualify for, removability from the U.S. So it did take us kind of a long time and a lot of research with help from our legal team, who are amazing. We did come up with a immigration charge because of his criminality. We do have, a warrant of arrest for him today. So, just praying all goes well and everyone remains safe during the arrest.
So this isn't a random pickup on the street today like the media likes to portray?
Right. Yep. It is not. Lots of hours went into this case.
ICE officers park blocks away to wait for the right moment to move in.
We're expecting him to leave the apartment, and normally he does go northwest when he comes out of there. So we'll be probably the third car back.
He was heading towards his apartment.
Within minutes, they're on the move.
They got lights and sirens on right now.
Walking up to the townhouse, Tindy is already in handcuffs in his garage next to his BMW. He was opening up the garage door and about to leave.
Yep.
He didn't look to be resisting or surprised at all, and that's what you want.
Exactly, and I think that's what helps when we have multiple officers there to do it, because it can just kind of stop a situation from escalating.
As situations have escalated in the past. From assaults on officers, online doxing, and threats to family members, resistance against ICE now comes in many forms. That's also why we've been asked not to reveal their identities.
We've been encountering a lot more resistance in the field. Assaults on officers and uses of force are just up astronomically. I've seen it been close to like an increase of 1,000% on assaults on officers. And one of the really frustrating parts that we've seen is that we're not only getting the assaults from the people we're arresting, but we're starting to get them from just bystanders, people like not involved in the arrest. And that's been very unfortunate when we're out just trying to, lawfully conduct an arrest, that we're getting bystanders who may not agree with what we're doing, but they're interfering and obstructing. And so we've been instructing, and I've been, instructing our officers that when they get that resistance, if it rises to the level where we can arrest, that we will arrest and prosecute people that are trying to impede us from doing our job.
Earlier this summer, a protest erupted on Lake Street after a search warrant linked to a drug and human trafficking ring was executed. Isabel Lopez was federally charged with assaulting officers.
That's the only way to try to stop some of this stuff, is to show that, hey, if you do impede us, like there will be consequences.
Sanctuary policies that prohibit cooperation pose another set of challenges for ICE in deporting criminals from Minnesota. Just weeks after President Trump took office, Attorney General Keith Ellison said that under Minnesota state law enforcement agencies can't hold someone on just an immigration detainer. This poses substantial risks for everyone involved and the public, because instead of making arrests at jails, ICE officers have to track and make arrests at homes, places of work, and in public, where situations are typically less safe.
I remember when I first started, doing when there was a lot of cooperation, I was a young officer, and I would just every morning I would go to Hennepin County first and then Ramsey County first and interview aliens right at the jail, and do my investigations, place detainers, and we'd pick up between 5 and 10, sometimes 15 people, and then bring them back to the office to process. No, we don't have any space at the jail. There's really no communication. If somebody is booked in that's here illegally, they don't contact us. We have our officers in there. We could be doing our job, and interviewing people, seeing where they're from, if they are here illegally, taking an action, if not. Mm-hmm. Right, because it's just for me, just thinking of public safety and the immigration officer, I want to know who's here, and if somebody is not supposed to be here and they're committing crimes, we need to take action on that. If we can arrest them from a safe, secure Sallyport of Hennepin County or Ramsey County, that's safer for everybody, right? The alien, the officers, federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, just everybody. To me, it just seems like it's common sense for public safety. This is where we are now, right? We're out here on the street, kind of sitting and waiting with 7 or 8 officers just for one person, and we could flip that around and we could have 7 or 8 people at Hennepin County Jail that we're just assuming custody of with 2 of our officers. And I think that really helps, because in places like Indiana, places like Iowa, they'll allow us access to the jails. They'll call us. We're there every day, just forming relationships with the correctional officers, with other jail staff, and I think it all blends into, I think, what we need to do, have this, federal, state, county, city cooperation that's necessary for, to keep all Americans safe.
Despite the politics, ICE officers pushed through with some much-needed help from the Department of Human Services, the Department of Justice, and other federal partners.
I challenged the leadership team, challenged staff to figure out how we can, still meet the mission, knowing that we have some of these, kind of significant obstacles.
Good job, guys.
Perseverance and good work pays off, just as it did in apprehending convicted sex offender Wilson Tindy.
So this is our main office at Fort Snelling. What we do is after we arrest somebody, we'll bring them back in. We have secure Sallyport here, where they'll go in and they'll go into an intake process, where anybody that we arrest is researched again. Any restraints that they have will get taken off. We'll put leg restraints on them, and then we'll begin the booking process.
Security cameras monitor where detainees will spend their first day in custody.
Just like any other booking room, the individual that we arrested this morning is going just through the initial processing. When we went out, we had the immigration warrant of arrest. We normally, thankfully, don't have a lot of issues in here. I think it's something that our officers are pretty highly trained in too, where again, they know how to de-escalate. They treat people with respect, and I think that helps, so we don't have usually a lot of issues here.
Wilson Tindy will soon be given a hearing with an immigration judge who will ultimately decide whether or not to deport him. But in Minnesota, Tindy is just one of many. The Big Beautiful Bill legislation signed into law provides billions of dollars for ICE to hire at least 10,000 new officers, with Minnesota expecting to ramp up its manpower. Also in Minnesota, several counties throughout the state are partnering with ICE through what's called the 287G program that allows state and local law enforcement agencies to assist ICE in identifying people for arrest and potential deportation. That'll do it for this episode of Liz Collin Reports. We'll see you next time.